Hey everyone, welcome back. So in today's video, I wanted to kind of just give you a little bit of my take of a primer of what you probably need in place first before you step to psychedelic therapy so that you're able to get the most out of it. So I'm making this video because I see a lot of people in my DMs, in my comments, online interacting who, a good chunk of whom are interested in psychedelic therapy because they feel like they are at their absolute end in terms of therapeutic options. They are desperate. They are often in a bit of a panic, a bit emotional and dysregulated. And they really are hoping that psychedelic therapy is going to work. And especially in that first shot, that first time, they're going to have that one big silver bullet experience. It's going to transform everything, heal them, and really set them on the right path. There's a lot of this kind of energy out there, which really breaks my heart, saddens me, quite frankly, because I care about people and I see a lot of people out there who are in a bad way, who really need help. And they end up coming to me because I'm kind of loud with my opinions and I have things to say about all this, about psychedelics and healing. And so I get contacted. And so I wanted to kind of help you understand a bit more if you are ready, whether or not you wanted to come work with me. By the way, I don't do guided work, so people can't necessarily come to me and have me work with them while they're on the medicine, but I do prep work and I do integration work with people. But whether you want to work with someone like me or like a licensed therapist type person, a MAPS person, what have you, or a shaman or what have you, if you're going towards some, or even self-guided work, if you are going towards doing psychedelic therapy, what do you need to know? What do you need to have in place at minimum so that you don't have a terrible, terror-inducing, overwhelming, quite frankly, not that helpful experience that might set you back? So that's what we're about to talk about here, and I'm going to unpack a bit for you guys, and hopefully I can kind of clarify a bit of what you need in place to do this properly. So with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so in my book, there are three skills you're going to want to have, or three qualities, however you want to think of it, that you want to have in place first before you really step to psychedelics in any kind of moderate to high dose way. That's going to make a big difference. Or if you're doing therapy, that's going to make a big, big difference for you. And these are absolute musts. So if these aren't in place, think of it in terms of your set and setting not being quite right yet. And that, the basic rule number one in psychedelics, as you probably already know, is you want your set and setting to be correct first. This, of course, means, setting obviously being your environment. Are you in a safe place where you can kind of open up and have a very vulnerable, sensitive, impressionable experience? And set being, what's your mood, what's your mind state, what's your emotional state, how are you doing internally, right? So these are the major, if set and setting aren't right, that's generally a red flag to not do psychedelics. So the three things I'm about to lay out here, I think, are things that play into set and setting in really significant ways. So the first one is pretty obvious. If you've ever seen in my Reddit posts, you surely have seen me go on and on about this, and that would be self-regulation. I think self-regulation skills are up there among the most important and most absent skills that most of the adults in our society don't have but need, that make all the difference in terms of well-being in life. If you don't know what I mean when I say self-regulation, check out the playlist here. I'll try to leave a link down below. On this channel, I have a playlist of self-regulation techniques and skills. The long and short of it is that self-regulation is a set of skills from soft skills, meaning like internal cognitive or emotional skills, to more physical somatic skills to help us bring our nervous system down from fight or flight back into that nice, calm, centered parasympathetic mode, right? So if you don't have a way to switch off triggers, to switch off overwhelm, to switch off anxiety and fear, and come back to calm and safe and centered, if that's something that's just foreign to you, or a feeling maybe you know, but you don't know how to get there, and you're just kind of hoping, and you do what most people do, which is try to distract yourself or, consume something, whether that's media or porn or food or what have you, or you self-regulate by complaining to your friends or what have you, these kinds of things. um, I would encourage you to start to develop this skill set of self-regulation. Some examples off the top of my head, in case you're like, what the hell do you mean? Might be like breathwork techniques. It might be vagus nerve massage techniques. It might be things like doing EFT tapping for yourself to dial down a stress level to a more reasonable level, or doing EMDR and bilateral stimulation techniques. There's so many out there. And this is something that I'm always preaching about. It is the missing piece for a lot of people out there. And this is important in terms of doing psychedelic therapy because, first of all, therapy can trigger you. And psychedelics do heighten your kind of fight or flight overall, right? And so if you're already heightened and then you're doing therapeutic work, you could get triggered. And if you get triggered, you probably want to know how to get out of the trigger. So self-regulation becomes super useful for that. And then also, so self-regulation becomes just an important life skill before the psychedelics. So if you are, are planning to do a journey, but you're just wound up with all this like backed up stress and emotion and anxiety and angst, and all that is like just dominating your body and your physiology and your energy and your mind and the bandwidth of your attention, it's probably a good idea to do some self-regulation work for a while, for like a week, a couple weeks before you do a journey, and really empty that shit out and get back to center. It's going to make a huge difference in terms of what you're able to do in therapy. So that would be the best place to start right there, is just self-regulation. All right, the next item on the list that I think is an absolute essential, that a lot of people are way too much in fight or flight or go mode to stop and really consider, is the ability to feel safe enough to do the work in the first place. The ability to feel well-resourced enough, calm enough, centered enough, tolerant enough, again, grounded and regulated enough that you can actually endure some dysregulation, that you can endure some intense emotions, that you can endure some discomfort. If you are, unstable is the word I'm looking for here, that's not going to work. And again, I see a lot of this. I see a lot of people like coming at me, or just, in these subs on Reddit or what have you, that are just obviously, unfortunately, unstable. And I'm not talking unstable from drugs. I'm talking unstable from trauma, unstable from an unfortunate life situation where maybe someone is struggling to, have shelter or safety or these kinds of things. If you're unstable emotionally, mentally, first of all, look at the self-regulation tools that I just described, that I just said in the earlier part of this video, and really focus on getting stable enough before you do the work. I know that sucks to hear, because usually when people have a lot of trauma and they're feeling unstable, there is this, I need to get it all out of me and done and gone now kind of energy that is very black and white. It's very all or nothing, and it's all right now. And I get it. That's a strong indicator, obviously, that if you're in that place, you're really suffering. And I have a lot of compassion for that. But I just got to be real with you that if you try to do psychedelic therapy from that unstable place, probably it's not going to go so well. Probably psychedelic will amplify, because they are non-specific amplifiers of whatever thoughts, feelings, experiences are happening inside of us, including all the shit that's so low level we don't even know it's there. All of that gets like switched on like a neon light. And if you are unstable, it's going to highlight that instability and amplify it further. very possibly. If it doesn't, um, you might luck out, but it's generally, that's how you end up with people who are more destabilized after a psychedelic experience. Psychedelic experiences are in and of themselves destabilizing. So if you're already unstable, it could just really make the whole thing worse. And so I would personally, if someone came to me and they're like, help, I'm freaking out, I need help right now, oh my God, I've got decades of trauma to unload and it all has to happen right now, I wouldn't work with that person. Or, not that I guide, I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't work with a person like that, because that's not going to go well. That's not going to go well. First thing I would do if someone comes to me like that and they want to be my client is I'd spend a bunch of time making sure they're stable, making sure that they're clear, that they're balanced, that we've already cleared a lot of the charge out, that we've got some good self-regulation tools in place, and that they feel like they can tolerate a bit of rocking the boat with some psychedelics. And then maybe it would be a good choice. But for a lot of people where there's kind of that acute stirred up thing, it's not the right call. And the third one that I want to talk about is something that I think is really under discussed kind of in the psychedelics world. And here's what I mean by kind of. The third ability that I think is really important for you to have in place to be able to really successfully work with psychedelics is the ability to go meta. Now, that's kind of an abstract concept, so I'll have to ground it out. And here's what I mean by it's kind of an under-discussed thing. Going meta is part of meditation. When we meditate, we observe all the phenomena, all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the body sensations, the waves of restlessness and discomfort, the waves of bliss and peace that move through us, right? So it's that ability to step back from ourselves a bit and observe our experience without being caught up in our experience. That's what going meta is. Going meta is that ability to kind of rise above yourself and self-observe. The ability to kind of just step away from it, and kind of just look at your experience with an open mind and just be present with it and witness it and observe it without being always swept away inside your emotions, caught up, carried away, reacting to everything. So that reactivity, which we could call association. And you could say that there's, going meta is a form of dissociation, not an unhealthy form of dissociation, but a very natural part of the nervous system's ability to step back and observe. That does involve a little dissociation. And over association into our emotions and into our reactions and constantly, in that fight or flight, absorbed in the moment, it's got to be this way and that kind of a thing, doesn't go well with psychedelics. People like that tend to act out and get themselves in trouble a lot. Those people often correlate a lot with having these kind of reactive bad trip experiences. Not always. I don't want to make too sweeping generalization, but I have seen some correlation there. And in general, this skill of self-observation, of going meta, of stepping outside of yourself or above yourself and kind of just looking at the situation is so incredibly useful when you're working with strong emotions, when you're working with triggering pieces, when you're working with deep meanings of things that you didn't even know were there. Maybe you unpack some piece in a psychedelic session and you realize there's a lot more emotion about a person or an event or a thing than you realized. Being able to go meta to that is going to be useful in moments so that you can observe and work with yourself and then also step into and feel it as well. This capability is super important to step in and out, in and out of your experience, and to really have that capacity to be your own observer. If you don't have that, that will get you in trouble. So that's the third one. So, just a real quick summary here. We've got self-regulation, right? We've got being stable, and we've got the ability to go meta. And in my personal opinion, again, I don't really see anyone talking about this shit, at least not in this way. And my opinion, if you don't have these three things in place, you're probably not quite ready for psychedelic therapy yet. And these would be things to work on first. Because feeling safe in your skin, knowing how to bring yourself back to untriggered if you get triggered, knowing how to feel stable enough that you can tolerate doing some emotionally intense work, and and then knowing how to observe yourself and not get always so reactive and caught away in your own emotions, all of that comes in super, super useful, and not just in psychedelic therapy, and obviously also in life. These are life skills, but also, if you ever want to do psychedelics recreationally, these also become useful, right? Because there will be moments, that get really intense or weird or confusing, or there will be emotions involved in recreational use that aren't always just joy and play and laughter, although that's obviously part of it. That's pretty much it. So I hope that makes sense. So again, I'm just trying to empower you here with what you probably need to expect to have reasonably first before you step to a psychedelic therapist in order to really get a good or better result out of the session. So I hope this is useful. Thanks for watching. And if you agree, disagree, if you have a thought, a comment, something to add, anything like that, do me a favor, leave a comment down below, interact. I would love to have the conversation with you. And I'm wishing you all the best wherever you are, whoever you are, whether it's day or night, wherever you are on planet Earth or outside of planet Earth, sending you a lot of love and a lot of gratitude for your time and your attention. Take care.